Here we go. Lisa can't ever be seen or put better. You can't ever see the characteristics of the body or the character of Lisa. The character of, or the description of the body or the personality of Lisa is something that is described in words in time, and those words of the character are always changing. Some people might like her, some people might hate her, some people might find her patronizing, some people might find her lovely. That's always in movement. There's no actual fixed character. The character is always in movement. And the character depends on the language which is spoken, on who's speaking to who, on the emotions that come up with those words that are talking about the character. It can never be seen. There is no fixed character. There is no fixed personality. That's always moving. There seems to be similarities. The body seems to butter the butter the same way and respond to the lover in the same way and like certain things and not other things. But this isn't who you are, this character, this description. This is something which is used in human language in order to progress, in order to have a more civilized civilization. It's not an actual somebody, this description. But seemingly it's an important description in order for our society to work, so it appears. But it's something that's always moving, always changing, growing, moving, seemingly. When this character, with all its habits and conditioning and genetics and comparisons and belief systems and thoughts, is taken to be who you are, then suffering begins. What begins to happen is this separation happens, and rather than there just being what is, life, expression, and no expression simultaneously, rather than it just being that, there becomes this veil, or this once removed imagination, which is energetical, view on the world. Suddenly it becomes, you are inside, you know what's happening, you know the way things are, and you're also constantly imagining yourself knowing it all in some weird way. So it becomes abstract. And it really feels like that is who you are, and that there's some form of soul inside these bodies. And that there's somebody viewing this world. And there's somebody having lots of experiences. There's somebody understanding what Lisa's talking about. There's somebody that's grown for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. There's somebody that's progressed. There's somebody that's going somewhere. But it's a lie. That's all conceptual, which has become energetical, an energetic expression of I am a separate body walking around in a separate world. I know things, I have things, I'm going somewhere. People know who I am. I want people to think a certain way of me. Who? How could who you are be a description that's moving? How could you be someone that's vulnerable, somebody that's not good enough, somebody that's got lots of possessions? But yet this separate entity becomes so strong, it's prepared to go to war to support that identity. It's prepared to kill for that identity. Just someone disagreeing with it in the supermarket or not driving fast enough on the motorway can bring up this immense amount of rage. They are obstructing my way. They are doing something to me. They shouldn't do it. So convinced that it could be any other way than what it is, that you or them could act differently and are separate from everything else. So convinced that the body can affect other things. So there's somebody driving slowly on the motorway, which is annoying the body, and it's going around this dance. Why don't they drive faster? They shouldn't do that. Who do they think they are? Could that person drive like that if there wasn't a sun, if there wasn't rain, if there wasn't the wind, if there wasn't oxygen, if there wasn't bacteria, if there wasn't dead animals to eat? Or does it require everything that's ever happened and ever gonna happen for that moment to appear? There is nothing which is separate. This is absolute love, expressing, creating the most divine painting. Boo la la, tonight's the night of love. And the crazy thing is, the most mysterious part of it all is, even though all of this is moving, it's also not. Even though all these things are moving and changing from one thing to another thing to another thing, they're also not. Nothing's happening. Isn't that the weirdest bit? Wow. So I just see a message from a guy called Keith, and he's asking me if a meeting in Nottingham for March is still on. I believe so, unless you know something else. The last time I spoke to the organiser, we were go, 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 go. We still haven't organised the venue, I don't think. But you can get in touch with the organiser and register your interest, or book a place. Now, yeah, just some other details. So if you want to ask me a question, it's best to ask me on Skype, and the best way to do it is to call in. Second best is to write to me, and I'll answer it. I might answer them on social stream on Ustream, but I often miss those ones. The best way is Skype, and it's Lisa Cairns 12. You can send me a request. Also, if you're having problems with ad blocker, then you need to download something called ad blocker for your web browser, and for your specific computer, so if it's a PC or a Mac. And I've had reports that it doesn't work very well in Safari, so it's best to do it in Firefox or Google Chrome. And you can just download that quickly now. Or you can pay Ustream to take out the ads. Okay, let's go for Karuna. And Karuna, I see that you're writing me messages in the call box. It's better to write it to me outside of that, Karuna, otherwise I'm going to keep missing them. So you've got to write it to me in a different, somewhere else, I don't know where. So the one from today, it says, Dear Lisa, oh my God, there is so much fear in my heart for not really any obvious reason. Dizziness, and the world appears almost transparent or like a fairy tale. At the moment it's a bit better, but the last days and this morning it was a nightmare of fear and trying to get out. Telling me what you say. To whom does it appear like a fairy tale? Or I tell myself it's okay. I try to get out of the mind, which makes such a big deal about reality when it's always was like that, not solid. But still the mind is creating fear like crazy. Could you say something to it? It couldn't be any other way, Karuna. Well, that fear's there, that's what has to appear. Full-on fear. All there is full-on fear. And that activity of the person is trying to get out of it and trying to seek its way out of it, and that's what it's doing, and that's all there could be, is this person believing that it can possibly do something to get out of it. And that's what's happening. Neither's wrong or right, it's just as it is. It's not you that's made this happen, you've not done something wrong, you don't exist. It's just life appearing, full on as it is. But remember to write in a different box, Karuna. Next time. Okay. So this is R. Hi R. I'm listening to live stream and cooking at the same time. You look tired. Hope you're doing well. May I call? Of course you can, Marcin. Martin maybe. I'm just going to move on, Martin, and then when you call, I'll just, Hey, Nick. Hello. Oops. Hello? 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 Just call again when you've sorted it out, Martin. When you call, though, I might just hold you on the call if I'm answering somebody else's talk. Somebody else's question. If I'm answering somebody else's question. Get it right, Lisa. Okay. Alexander, hi Lisa. So all things and thoughts are changing and not permanent. What is it? What is not changing? Thanks, love, Alex. I can't tell you that because it is. Any words that you describe of this timeless beingness isn't it. They're cages. You can never put it in the positive. And the mind's looking, the thoughts are looking. Okay, so where's this timeless beingness? Where is it? And it's there all the time. Those words are appearing and disappearing in it, and are it as well. It's looking. Ah! Ooh, yeah. And you'll never be able to see it because it is. It is. It's not about seeing the beingness. It's the collapse of that one that's looking for something else. No worries, Martin. When you get it sorted, just call back. Hello, Patrick.
Hi, can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good.
Did you want to speak or listen?
I had something to say actually.
Okay.
I'm just trying to sort out what's going on here.
Yeah, there's a ringing.
Something's going on here. Can you see a picture of me?
No.
Oh,
it's better if I don't because my internet will crash.
Tell me it's better if you don't. It's just, yeah. Right. So, okay. So you were talking last time about something. I can't remember what I was talking about. You were talking about. You brought this thing up about rounding off. That the me, the separate me, always rounds off, and rounds things off. Always tries to round things off. So it always thinks it's come to a conclusion, and you called it rounding off and making a full stop.
Yeah. I don't remember, but that sounds like something I might have said. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so true that, and it's just a constant state of it. Like it always thinks it's come to a conclusion, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've had a shit life for the last 30 years, or I've had the best ever life, or it's been like this for 4 months now, or this is the most amazing thing I've ever experienced, or this person is the one for me. And it's always like poof, sticking its flag in as though this is it. I know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just making statements, and then those statements give a veil, give what is a certain colour.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
And in that, there can be great ecstasy, but there can also be the opposite to that.
Yeah.
The falling into hell.
When things are good, it rounds off and thinks that's the end.
And thinks, yeah, this is it. This is fantastic. I got there. And then it falls the other way and goes, this is awful. This is the worst thing ever. It's always going to be like this.
And then it thinks it's got there as well. So that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
Forever, doesn't it? It just thinks that's it forever. It doesn't matter how old you get and how many times you do it.
Like, this is it.
It still does it every single time.
Bless its little cotton socks. And then that disappears.
Yeah.
And the next thing happens. But it veils. It just gives all of this certain colour. It makes it look.
How do you mean it disappears?
Sorry?
How do you mean it disappears?
Well, then that veil just dissolves, and then the next thing happens. And then it rounds off another thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
And it tries to make it all stay like that, but it won't. It can't.
Yeah. So it just wants everything to be permanent for some reason.
Yeah, because then impermanent, and then it thinks that having permanence will make it happy. It just believes that making things secure or making things a certain way will make it happy, which is an absolute lie. Life is in life is in love with movement. That's the way this is set up. It loves losing. It loves everything appearing and disappearing. And then it's so in love with it, it creates this opposite dynamic that's trying to hold on to it and plays that game. But it loves appearance, disappearance, because that's the way it is. You get the new car, then the new car gets scratched.
But in every single tiny moment, it's always changing, in fact.
Yeah.
It's always constantly changing.
All things are things. In a way, there are no things. There are no things. It's all energy, just moving. Then there's also this other side where there's no things and nothing's moving. Everything's always reflecting back oneness.
How can that happen? How can you have something that's constantly moving, but isn't moving at all?
I know. But it's the actual experience. There's this nothingness to it all.
But that is really,
This
I don't
emptiness.
know how that, but that's the reality, that it's constantly changing,
Yeah.
fluctuating. It never stays still.
No.
But for some reason, the separate entity is addicted to it being permanent, and pretends that it's permanent.
Yeah.
In every moment. It's really odd. It just pretends that it kind of wants to make it permanent into a structure or something.
Yeah, of course. And then it wants to build it or fix it in some way and move on.
And there's another thing that came to mind. You've talked about time a lot, or that it doesn't exist, and it's also true of the measurement of distance as well, in a strange kind of way, I think.
No, of course. If it's all one thing, there's no distance.
Yeah. So I mean, I've really noticed that if you travel by car, and the mind tries to make it a constant again, like a permanence. So it tries to make the time that something takes, a journey takes, the same every time, and the distance, the actual covering of that distance, the same every time, to make it neatly packaged. So supposing you go to the same place, several times, it tries to make it the same experience each time. But if you go there by some other means, like if you go on a bike there or something, it's a completely different experience. So I'm not quite sure what I'm trying to say. But distance is completely different. It's just as unreal as time.
Yeah, spaces as well. And it's all like, what's so cute about it all is if our eyes were to look smaller and smaller and smaller, all the edges would begin to disappear. New edges would form, and then you're getting closer and closer, and then their edges would begin to disappear.
The edges?
Yeah.
Edges of?
Well, if you got a microscope and looked at any of this stuff here, it would then begin to turn into atoms. The more and more you look into anything, the more and more you see that you can't see it start and stop. The closer and closer.
Between one thing and another.
Sorry?
Like the boundary between one thing and another doesn't really exist.
No, it's all the same thing. Then it ultimately comes down to inside of the smallest, tiniest thing is nothing. So it's all ultimately made up of nothingness. And then it's all these, you go out and out and out and out and out. But it's all made of the same building blocks. And the more you go into it, the less you can find difference.
The more you go into something, in more detail, you mean? In closer?
Yeah. View-wise, I mean. Like sight-wise.
Sight-wise?
Like if you get a microscope.
Yes, there's no edge.
No.
It's just...
It gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
It's the same if you get further and further away as well. Everything begins to go into one. It's quite amazing. I've got a really creative mind, so sometimes I must talk utter shit, and it's you just got to follow the imagination a bit.
No, it's really, really wonderful. It really is. It makes so much sense.
Makes sense, and it's not making sense.
Yeah, exactly. So it can't possibly make sense. But yeah, further and further away that you look at it as well, that it's just everything merges or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just...
It's amazing if you look at pictures of the Earth.
Yeah, so... Yes. So constant movement as well, just energy moving through things or...
Yeah, just energy changing from one appearance to another appearance. And there's no solid anything, it's all moving. Even the appearance of the character. That's what I started off with tonight, was talking about how that character's always moving as well. And they seem to have habits, the forms, and they seem to have specific ways of being that form, like the chair's the chair, the carpet's a carpet, a person's a person. But that's not who you are. It's impossible to be who you are. That's movement. And yet it is you at the same time, because it's everything and nothing, but no one fixed thing. The me thinks it's one fixed thing, that it's opinions or descriptions in time or relationships, and that's when all the suffering begins, when life begins to be seen through this filter of me.
It's amazing. That's exactly what I was just about to say, actually. So weird. You know, that is the suffering, that things... I have no idea why, but it's because things are fixed. It's the...
Yeah. This is in all spiritual teachings.
Not fixed, but it's entirely artificial.
Yeah.
That idea that things are.
And this is in all spiritual teachings. They all differ so much, but you'll always come back to the one of impermanence, like the whole teaching around impermanence.
Yeah.
Like, it's huge in Buddhism, but in all of them, like, whenever you're hearing anyone, and all the different non-duality speakers now, they disagree on so many different things, but it will always come back down to the suffering is the person trying to fix everything. It's fighting.
Make things permanent. Make everything.
It's making things permanent. It's trying to hold on to itself as well. It sees itself as a permanent thing in relationship with permanent things. And then that becomes stuck. It becomes like a board or a piece of plank of wood that then begins to bump into things. Whereas really it's all just fluidness. Everything's just moving and melting one thing to another to another. The me's like a big plank of wood that's trying not to melt.
But it isn't really, is it?
No. Ultimately, that's just melting. It's always disappearing in this emptiness right here, right now. It's not really a solid entity. It's always melting. It comes up, I hate this person, why is this happening to me? And then boom. And then there's just, my eyes must look a bit crazy to everyone else. My eyes are following the light patterns on the computer screen. They've gone to light patterns. And I'm following it around, so my eyes must be going a bit funny. But it's all like that light pattern, just watching it now. It's all the lights just slowly changing from one to another, like a rainbow, and then the pictures are changing. The me's trying to sit in the middle of it all and make something solid, and it can't. It's all made of nothingness. It's all made of absolute transparency. It's impossible. It can't become hard. It can't become solid, and it doesn't want to. It ultimately doesn't want to. It doesn't want to. No, it believes it does. That's it. It's just a belief that's become energetical. I'm transfixed by these lights.
The belief that's become energetical.
Yeah, like can become an energetic expression. Actually, I'm not even sure which comes first, the energetics or the belief. The belief, the energetics. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's the energy that produces the belief or the belief that produces the energy. The me most probably would think it's an important question, because it'll think that it can undo a belief, but it can't.
Yes, that's right. Well, the me thinks it can undo a belief.
But,
is that what it said?
Yeah, like if it's a belief, it would think that's important to know it's a belief, because I can undo a belief, but it can't. It is a belief.
It can't, because...
How can it do anything? There's no solid person in there.
Yeah. And that's why that entity can't understand when someone does say this.
Yeah, and it's outrageous. And the amount of times I keep having to repeat, I realise there is nobody in there. There is nobody in there. There's no solid person. There's just appearances. Because it's just like the mind just goes, blub, blub. That's not really for me. Blub, blub.
Yes, yeah.
It's very sweet.
Yeah. So I've heard that, what you've talked about, I've heard it before, but it doesn't. It just falls off. It just bounces off.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It just doesn't penetrate at all. Just bounces off. But yet, there's. I don't. What I don't really understand is why there's so much excitement about, or so much. There's such a a feeling, an energetic feeling about that is true somewhere. You know, there's somewhere there is a when you were talking about things never having ends, you know, things never having boundaries, solid boundaries. They're always energy moving. There's a knowing of that that's very is more like a sort of
feeling,
a whoosh or something, a whoosh, like a whoosh of energy. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is like some form of energetical resonance, I think. I don't really know how it's working, but I know that, or there's a memory that pops up of when I was listening to this stuff. It was like, it wasn't an interest in the intellectual. It was like,
yeah, exactly.
It was a feeling that this was so true. It was like the heart could sing at some of the stuff.
Oh, that's so lovely. Yeah.
But
it is. That's such a good description of it. It's the heart singing.
Yeah, it's like everything begins to vibrate. It knows.
That right there, right there. You got it.
But it's not the verbal truths as such. It's something far greater, I think, than that. I don't really understand at all, though, in words. But I can feel it. I'm not even sure if I can feel it, but it's like when you look at a painting and you completely know what the painter means, even though it makes no sense.
Yeah, it is like that.
You can completely feel the painting.
Completely feel it, yeah. And as soon as you try to analyse why it's gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at the picture and
then it just becomes blobs.
Sorry?
It becomes blobs. Or it becomes pictures rather than this intimacy that was there before with it.
Yeah. The way that the separate self, there appears to be like such a conflict between that and the I don't know, the truth of energy constantly moving.
Yeah.
But it's shocking to the soul. It's shocking that things won't just behave themselves, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
that it's fighting.
They won't toe the line and just behave themselves and the changing just is so judged that it's wrong, that things change and constantly change. Even someone that you love and you've put them in a box and said that they're that person and the next day, the next minute they change and they're a completely different shape. In the way that they think or the way that they look, or do you know what I mean? So it's like with people and relationships as well. The me wants things to stay the same or be solid, but those relationships constantly fluctuate and change, and someone's completely different at one moment of the day to the next.
Yeah.
Really, in truth, or I don't know whether that's someone, but it's just all the same energy, isn't it? It's just like it's just.
And this
the great ocean is just movement.
Yeah, and it is just movement, and that's what happens. Is this person identity that thinks it knows how people should be, how the lover should be, how you should be, how things should be, begins to dissolve or seems to dissolve, and then things just become as they are, and then suddenly someone's an asshole, and then they're not. Yeah. And then it's not even like a psychological working out, or she did that because when she was younger her mother would blah, 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 blah. It's just then it changes. And then that's it. It's all so innocent. It just disappears. It comes and it goes.
It disappears.
And the mind's fixated on psychology and working it out, and because it thinks that it can do something in that, and that feeds this kind of whole loop that it goes round in of the hamster ball of I can get somewhere else in this. And it's that very activity, which is energetical as well, that's stopping everything or giving the appearance of solidness and uncomfortableness and stopping things just appearing and disappearing or seeming to. It's holding on and repeating, and then it gets obsessed with fixing itself, and this becomes a whole new loop of liberating itself, of letting go of the me, and this becomes a whole new loop.
Yes. And it seems to have such a hold. I probably didn't really make that clear about distance. It strikes me, that the mind I don't know how to say it really, but it's or it could be just a shape or a thing, apparent thing, that it makes it such a certain shape. But every time we look at it, it's really a different shape.
Yeah.
It's really,
Yeah. It's really funny if you do this to a person's face. If you focus on a different bit of somebody's face, their whole face will begin to change.
Yeah.
It's really funny, that one, especially if you're drunk or on drugs. But you could do it now. If you just begin to focus on the eyes, then the nose might become really big. Or on the lips, and then the rest of the face becomes really small.
Yeah.
It all changes.
So true.
And the colours and the light.
Mm. I was hearing Karuna talking about fear.
Yeah.
And I really feel for her, actually, because
fear and love are so close together.
They are.
Most awakenings, or a lot of awakenings, are triggered by this huge intensity of fear. Not to make it everyone's going to be like, right, I've got to feel the fear, but they're so close.
What happened to me was and it has happened, it still happens to some extent, is the fear is fear. It's just fear, and then it's fear, and then it's fear, and then suddenly it's something that's not fear. It's just vast. So it's just vast, and vast is the same as fear. I don't know if that makes any sense. So
like vast as it just becomes huge, it becomes everything.
Huge, yes. So you're just in the end, I've just been in awe of the size of it, just the sheer size of it, which is the same thing as a fear, but I'm in awe instead of somehow. What's happened is it's turned to being in awe somehow.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't really mean anything. It's just,
no, it doesn't, and it doesn't really help anything.
No, it doesn't help anything, but it's an observation.
Yeah, there's just blah 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 happening.
That's so funny. Like anyone's observing it.
It couldn't be any other way. This is exactly what's meant to be happening and couldn't be anything else. It's nobody controlling any of this. There's no one that's done this. It's energy expressing, and at the moment it's having conversations about fear and awe.
Yeah. It's just energy. Yeah.
I have these lovely experiences on planes. I have vertigo, or the body gets vertigo. So often planes can bring up a tense fear, especially when the plane's turning or when the plane's bumping a lot. But it also, at the same time, simultaneously brings up immense amount of bliss. It's very funny. Because there's no resistance to that fear. It's that hugeness, and huge bliss comes. It's very nice.
Is that a new thing?
No, I've had this for a long time. I fly a lot now, but I've always flown a lot the last 20 years maybe. I used to live in Australia, so that was a lot of flying.
Yeah, while you were there. Or backwards and forwards to there or something.
Yeah.
It's nice. Thank you.
Thank you. It's always lovely to talk with you, Patrick. It feels a lot more energetical today. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. It does. You're right.
I have no idea what that means or where that goes, but that's what it feels.
It's nice. It's good to say. Yeah, I do know what you're saying. Or something knows what you're saying.
It felt very energetical one time before, I'm just remembering as well.
When was that then?
Really energetical. It was very full on. I think it was like 2 or 3 times ago that I did Ustream. It was when I was in Dorset with the rain.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're talking about the flood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. I don't know. It feels like. I don't know. I'm going to say that. I don't think I was going to say something. I'm not sure I will now. But it's to do with that crumbling. Something crumbling.
Yeah.
But it isn't. It's just
As soon as you begin to know it, it stops to crumble.
Yeah.
But energetically, there was something happening. But as soon as we begin to put it into words, it suddenly builds the bricks back up, which is hilariously funny.
Exactly. You can feel it straight away. Just constructing, yeah. It's quite wonderful actually. To feel the edge of that coming in. Just feel, yeah. I'm just doing it again now. Even describing it does it again. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Patrick. You'll laugh when you see this back, because I'm laying down suddenly. So I'm sitting well, you can't see it because you're just listening, but I'm laying down while talking to you.
Good.
All right, Patrick. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye then.
Bye. If anyone else wants to call, just call, and then you'll be in silence for a while while I finish the other questions, and then I'll come to you and speak with you. Okay. Hi, Andrew. Could you talk about the knowing of isness falling away? Thanks. Well, who and how does somebody know isness? It is. And as the knowing of isness falls away, someone knowing it, then it's just vast, huge space. Hi, Ramon. So what went wrong with Ustream in Germany? That makes sense. Basically, a lot of the time when I go to venues, their internet is just not strong enough to stream. So the internet at the venue just wasn't strong enough. Because when I'm normally streaming, I'm sat at the nearest place to the box and I've got it all set up. And then it's very unlikely you're going to go to a venue and the place that you need to sit is a good, strong place for the internet. It takes a lot of internet. So sorry, guys, that you didn't get to see. I tried to record it as well, and that went wrong. You'd have seen us all drinking beer. We sold beer at the event. It was fun. Hi, Vesh. She says, my son's favourite song, but I didn't know which song that was. Hi, Ism. Where were you in Germany? Ism, I was in Munich. I was in Munich. But I didn't see you there. I know that you live in Munich. It was really good. We had a really lovely time. Hey, Neho. Oh, yeah. Yes. Hi, Lisa. Oh, where is it? Hi, Lisa. Last days in very sunny Arizona. Paul likes cowboy stuff, and here is Phoenix, is where that happens. All well and sad to leave my little sister, who is disabled. Some non-English speakers might not understand. Sort it out. Oh, okay. Sort it out. Oh, I forgot why I said that to them. Tell them when you get it figured out. In USA English. When you get it figured out. Instead of when you get it sorted out. Sorted out is very UK. Ramon says, the connection between fear and love makes sense. Because you see, when the body dies in the moment of fear, there's nothing, the body's always going to experience fear. That's natural. But fear is what's felt most of the time when the body dies. And when it dies, it's an explosion of love. Fear is next to death, and death is love. Fear is absolute love as well. What happens though is the person tries to get out of the fear, and then it becomes tight and contracted and awful, and it's impossible to get out of. But there's this bliss side. Bliss is not what I'm talking to. Bliss is another experience. But there's this boundless love. But there can be experience of fear and bliss at the same time when somebody's not resisting it. It can also just be fear, plain old fear. Hi, Megan. Hi, Karina. To my last question and your answer, but fear is there because I think there is somebody whom is in danger. It is not just life appearing and creating fear. It would be nobody, no fear. If there would be nobody, no fear would be there. Or how do you see it? I don't see that at all. Sometimes my dogs do not have a person in them. They do not suffer. Sometimes my dogs have fear for odd reasons, which a human most probably would call psychological reasons. Like Khaleesi, it's very funny this. Khaleesi also has vertigo, so she also has problem with movement. And she just drools when she sees the car sometimes, because she knows who moves in it. Same as when I pick her up, put her on the motorbike, put her in the train. Oh, Cassidy. Fear is very natural for the body to be experienced. When the tigers are chasing zebras, the zebras have an energetic expression. The body has an energetic expression or chemicals of fear going through. They don't have a label for it. Some people might have the conditioning to be scared of spiders. That's not necessarily a personal thing. That's just a chemical thing. The body, the parents have taught them to be scared of spiders. Or the genetics determine that. My dogs knew not to go near snakes. I didn't even have to teach them. They genetically knew not to go near snakes. This was in Australia, not in England. I have to sit up again now. My arm's going dead. That was my sexy pose for all the gentlemen out there. I'd rehearse that for hours and hours. Being on the, I've forgotten what you call it in French. Lying out on the half bed. I've forgotten its name. I'm sure someone will tell me. Yes, but there is no real thing to be avat of at the moment, and still there is fear. So it's created by the mind and a separate me or not. It could be created by the mind, but that's not necessarily personal. Still not necessarily personal. The fear is just in activity. The mind's just in activity of fear. It's when it's that person that's trying to get out of fear that's the problem. Because then there's also this energy that's trying and saying, this is wrong, this is bad, let's get out of it. Otherwise, it's just there. It's just fear. It's boundless fear. All there is fear. Bong, bong, bong. I had to do how many, like 15 or 10, I don't know how many, flights in the last month, I think. And sometimes, as soon as the body enters the aeroplane, it gets hot. And then it's hot even if the aeroplane's cold for the whole flight. It's having its reaction. The me, though, wants that to be wrong and to do something about it and get out of it. It's just association. My parents, are afraid of flying, and they taught me to be afraid of flying. It's not their fault or anybody's fault, and it doesn't have to be got out of. It's as it is. Fear exists. It is as it is. It's not wrong nor right, just full-on expression. It's not even that word, fear. Fear. It's and it's so boundless, and it also can be quite blissful because it's so intense. Yes, but it is not the mind the person. No, thoughts aren't the person. The personal energy is something separate. Challenge, or something. I knew the word would come soon. No. It doesn't really matter all this, like I could explain it all out of what I mean to you, Karuna. So I say this quite a lot. It's funny how the mind doesn't want to hear it. I'm sorry that I say the mind and the me energy and I confuse them together for you. Not all thinking is personal, and the body's going to have certain conditioning and genetics, and that's not necessarily personal. Or that's not personal. What happens is this personal energy then claims it and says, I don't want this conditioning. I don't want to experience fear. I don't want the painful things. It's going to be painful conditioning. It's going to be fear of certain things. I know, Karuna, you really want to tell me how much you've got a problem and how unenlightened you are. I know Karuna likes that. So the me is only the movement of I want or I don't want. It's an energetic thing that's claiming things. This is who I am. This is good, this is bad, I want, I don't want. So funny what you say Karuna wants. Well, she wants to find out what is missing to let go, to be enlightened. Bollocks, does she want that? That's what she thinks she wants. She wants a permanent state of pleasure. She doesn't want to let go of herself. Nobody would want this. Nobody would want the end of themselves. Don't we like those words? Bollocks. Also, how did you know that in Bali your ego did explode and you would not shift anymore? How did you notice that now the flip-flopping most likely is over? I didn't know how. I didn't know that. That's what I'm always saying. So I don't really tell the story of Bali. Yet it gets asked and asked and asked and asked. It's just a story that appears when people push for it. I don't know that. Who would know it? It's just what is. This is very unsatisfactory for that person. I like it. It's funny, isn't it, what's liked and not liked? Maybe the innocence of it can be heard, the not trying to present something. But I have to go for a wee in saying that. I will be back, Karuna. You boy, she could go. Oh, he's so beautiful. Yes, he's so beautiful. That's doggy talk. Okay. Well, so nothing to do, right? No, Karuna! No! You say, I just want a constant state of pleasure, so let go of that would also not work, right? Round and round and round. It's not found in that. It's not found in what I do or what I don't do. Constant state of pleasure, or that's what you're thinking it is. You're thinking and not hearing. It's not you though. But that's okay. It's the way it is. I don't say there's nothing you can do. I say there isn't a person. But when the person seems to be there, what it's doing is trying to get somewhere, and believing it can get somewhere. I'm trying to point to the illusion of that. So I see that we've gone up in numbers again, so I'm just going to put my little advertisement out there again in an Australian accent. So if you want to ask me a question, the best place to ask me a question is on Skype, which is Lisa Cairns 12. That is Lisa Cairns 12. No, that's the only way you can really ask me a question. Or you can send me an email beforehand, which actually I've got a couple that I haven't answered yet. And if you want to get rid of ad blocker, then you need to if you want to get rid of ads, then you need to download something called ad blocker, which you need for the computer you have, like Apple or PC, and specific web browser, which is better in Google Chrome and Firefox. Okay, this is my common complaint about Ustream, so I try and publicly advertise it. Or you can pay Ustream to not have the ads. No one seems to want to do that though. Okay, Matt. Music in the silence. Silence hearing the music. It's better than talking and thinking. Matt. Talking can be that silence as well. That can be that music. Thinking can be that music as well. It's better than that personal energy that believes it is that thinking or is claiming that thinking. Nicholas Willoughby. Hello, Nicholas Willoughby. Wow. And everything that can be described becomes an infinite magnet, meaningless game where it is love that everything simply appears and disappears. Woohoo! That's a nice sentence, Nick. Can I claim it as my own and put it on Facebook? Who cares about suffering? The heart sings when it feels this. Lovely you and Patrick. Hi, Walker. Yay, I love it when the Lisa body-mind mechanism is arising on Ustream. Thank you. Nice. What is the difference between a dog and a free person? I know nothing, but nothing. There's not a free personal entity, but there can be seemingly the collapse of a person inside of a body. The dog never had that build in the first place. Then seemingly, because there was that contraction, and because that contraction was seen seemingly in thought, that contraction can appear in memory, and there can be a discussion about the contraction and no contraction. That can't happen with the dog because there was never that contraction in the first place. But to be clear, it's just a memory appearing now. So that's the only difference, is that a human can seemingly talk about it in some way and compare before and after, but it's all bullshit, the comparison, really. This is it! Dun 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 dun! Gad. Hi, Lisa. Almost every time I have a question, there is frustration about who wants to know. Don't know what or where mind wants to go. Don't know what or where my mind wants me to go. Or maybe feel myself not a serious seeker. Blah 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 blah, he puts. Yeah. Andrew. Do any thoughts arise about the space? My thoughts? Lisa's thoughts? Nope. You want me to talk about space? This pure aliveness that's no thing and everything. That's boundless, that's not caged, in which everything is appearing and disappearing, and there's no separation, it's all appearances. There's no one thing that is more a somebody than anything else. It's all relevant. It's all nothingness and everything. Nothingness expressing itself. And it has to express it in order to experience itself. It has to express itself in lots of different forms. There's to be more than one form in order to experience. This I am, is everywhere. It's everywhere. The cages, I am the body, I am bad, I am not good enough, I've got to get something better, I've got to work this out, I've got to understand this. This is boundless. I am is everything. Of course it's everything. Robot. Okay, Robot sent me a little video. I don't know if it'll play. No. I never can get them to play. Beth. Supine position on the chaise lounge. So Mara says, "Hi Lisa, if it's all one, why are some people happy and some people not? Thank you. The heart sings and the brain swirls. Love, Mara." There aren't some people that are happy and some people that aren't. There's bodies that don't have this personal energy arising in them anymore. Well, there's seemingly bodies that don't. Or if you just come back to this moment, there aren't some people and other people. It's all in la la land. Some people happy, some people not happy. All there is what is. Hi, Caroline. So Lou says, "Please do an American accent. You never do an American accent. What about a Californian accent? Oh my God! I'm so excited to see you all here." God. How the impersonal consciousness knows itself as I exist. It's a little bit irritating, the American one. I prefer the South African or the Australian. How the impersonal consciousness knows itself as I exist. There's no separation, my love, between impersonal consciousness and I exist, but you don't give two fucks about this, Ged. You just want to think about it. Without the me. There is no separation between impersonal consciousness and I am. It's all the same thing, I. There is no consciousness, and there is no I am ultimately, but it's all the same thing. There's no consciousness that's aware of I am. That's what a lot of traditional teachers teach, but that's a lie. That would mean that consciousness is separate from everything else. There is just I am, even prior to the words of that. But there's nothing that's conscious of the I am and of all the things. Did you understand that in more beautiful accent? Mara, thank you, Lisa. This thing that there's no other just doesn't sit. Does the other disappear together with the personal energy? The answer is right here, Mara. The answer is this. It's not something you intellectually comprehend. Is there another? There is only another in time. This is timeless, always. There is only another in description. And description is a handy tool for evolution, but it's no truth. And don't understand anything, says Gad. Never mind. You didn't care. You didn't care anyway, Gad. You want to try and get into the highs of intellectual understanding. It's just so okay. But that's just all it is. So it's so funny because other people without the accent most would have understood what I said without English being the first language, but because you're French, you couldn't understand it. Okay, so I've just got a couple in my inbox that I'm going to read out. This is from Adam. Hi Lisa, I have two separate questions which I'm hoping you can answer on Ustream. 1. What is the relationship between thought and action? Well, sometimes a thought appears and then action happens, and then sometimes action happens and there's no thought. And I don't know what you mean by that, or no answer really comes. Why does it matter? Because if you think you can produce good thoughts, then you can influence this. Number 2, you say that there is nothing that I can do in order to let go of this me thing. Do you know, it's so funny, Adam, because I've never said that. But yeah, that's what everyone's always telling me I say. Isn't that funny? That's all the me can hear. When I say there is no me, and there is nowhere to get, me interprets she's telling me not to do anything, and that I can't do anything. If I told you you can't do anything, then I'm telling you you exist. You can't do anything to get to this. There is no you and there's no this to get to. The illusion is that one that's dreaming it can get somewhere and do something. But it's funny that that's what the me can hear. It's always looking what to do, where's the action, where to go, what to do. It's always looking, that's all it hears. Perhaps because of the paradox that the me wanting to get rid of the me is continued. Right. You say that there is nothing that I can do in order to let go of the me thing. Perhaps because of the paradox that the me wanting to get rid of the me is continued seeking, which is the me. And yet at the same time, is it said that the me thing is the source of suffering? This leaves the earnest seeker not a lot to go on. Is there anything to go on? Many thanks, Lisa. Love the Ustream show. All there is what is, and in what is there is this dance of someone trying to get somewhere. That's where all the problems lie, in the someone trying to get somewhere. That's where all the opposites lie, the good, the bad, the ugly. It's dreamland, and then what it is veiled. But that's not wrong or right, that's just what appears. This is very unsatisfying by the me, because the me's lived its whole life being told what to do, how to get there. Then it hears this and it's stumped. It's got nothing to do with that person. This is so intense. Okay, this one's from Kathy. Vendetta. That's a funny word in English, Kathy. Vendetta. Happy Thursday. I love your talks. The information seems to put a peaceful space and around stressful situations. My question to you is, how does it happen in this body-mind, going from the intellectual understanding that life is, to the feeling that life is without mind dialogue telling you so? My question to you is, how does it happen in this body-mind, going from the intellectual understanding that life is to the feeling that life is without mind? I can't understand what that says at all. Sorry, Kathy. I'm a bit of a retard when it comes to reading sometimes. I think I may be reading it wrong. I find reading harder and harder. I find when I am in a stressful situation, or any situation actually, the mind remembers words from your talks. There is nobody out there who is wanting to be happy. This is just what is happening. It's not who you are, etc. Peace happens and these thoughts pop into my mind, but there is still connection to the mind-body. How does this fall away? Does this make sense? Is it possible to respond via email back to me instead of reading out loud? You can also read it out loud on your talks, but I may not be on and miss your response. Thank you. Thank you. Just to let you know, Kathy, I don't write back to emails because I don't like writing. I don't like reading particularly either. So that's why I do these Ustream talks. I know I have to read a certain amount, but so I can verbally speak it. I do not write about this subject at all. Well, this body is not yet written about this subject and doesn't find pleasure writing about it. So it's not drawn to doing it, but yet it finds it pleasurable talking about it. But, so I don't know if you're on Ustream or not, but I'll send you the video anyway. Let me just look at the time. 1:04. Okay. 1. Min. Okay. Hey, Trevor. It falls away just like everything else appears. So it's really unanswerable question. Everything else appears out of nothingness. It falls away because of nothingness, because of nothing. It happens because it happens. You will never understand this, Kathy. There's not even a you in there that could understand it. There's a collapsing happening, seemingly a deconstruction, but it's way beyond any comprehension in thought. All of this. Asking the question, how does it fall away, is like asking, where does a tree come from? Does it come from the earth, the rain, the seed, the bird pooping out the seed, the leaf that grew the seed? Does it come from the sunshine, from the wind, from the fertilizer? At which point does it come from? Comes from the ground, silly Lisa. Oh, comes from the ground. Comes from the worms, the worm poop, the rotting flesh, the broken down rocks. The rocks come from volcanoes, lava, heat, from Space, the Big Bang, the explosion, the going outwards, the endless enders. Where does everything come from? Nothing. No thing. Yet everything is it. Everything is that no thing. Isn't that cool, Kathy? I want to move on to the next question, but I've got to send her. Okay. Ramana spoke and speaks mainly through silence. This is from Gerard. And he names these other gurus, which I'll just bastardize if I try and say the name. Everything is spoke through silence, Gerard. Everything. Nels. Hey, Nels. Is what you're talking about a seeing through evolution, perhaps, or an empathy on, or a drawing? I think someone I know recently broke through, but not me. Chinny chin chin. So you say you didn't break through. Who says that? It's all freedom. Trevor. Hey, Lisa. Will you ever do a live thing in London? If I get invited. Actually, somebody who invited me before has just asked me again if I want to do it, so maybe. I just do talks by invitations. Trevor. We met before, Trevor. I forget. There seems to be a wanting for establishing more identities, or more solid ones, with the idea that that will fulfill my lacks and maybe make me more solid as a person. There's huge force behind that. On the other hand, I realise that that's a story. It seems to be the me wanting to survive. Does it matter what I do? Do you have something to say about this? Probably just me thinking I have a choice in this again. Yeah. And whatever happens is exactly what is meant to happen, even if it's striving and seeking to establish more identities, or doing the opposite. It couldn't be any other way. You aren't the creator of this. You is an appearance. The you in which you think you are is an appearance in this. That you feels and comes with energies which are telling the story that you're creating this. And then there comes all the agony of getting it wrong and having an image of what it should be, which isn't wrong or right. And while that's there, it couldn't be any other way. But it's an appearance. It's not the creator. It's just dreaming it's creating. I did this. I am good. Karuna. Lisa, you say there is no me, but also you say the me is the problem which produces the veil. Can you explain this paradox? The me isn't really happening. Does the dream at night happen, Karuna? It's exactly the same thing. Mara. Thank you, Lisa. Still don't get it. but smiling is happening. Love. So Pablo says, hi Pablo. Paulo. No, not Pablo. Paulo. Hi Lisa, I'm locked in the observer mode. I know this is a thought, but the observation is also thought. Thank you. Yeah, it's a thought with an energy, so it really feels like there's a center to watching. Thank you, you're wonderful. Oh. Hi Paulo. To ask Lisa a question, okay. So yeah, it's also an energy. It couldn't be any other way, Paulo. Well, that's happening, that's what's happening. That's the way it is. Alexander, the psychics say that at the very beginning of the universe there was only energy in some perfect symmetry form, and this energy appears out of nothing. Everything what exists today, also we and our thoughts, came out of this energy, out of this nothingness. Isn't that funny? I think I just said that, didn't I? I forget what I said. Am I a psychic? No, not psychics. Physicists. I think that says physicists. Oh, I thought it was psychics. Oh, physicists. What a bozo. You're listening to someone that can't even read properly. And in this society, intellect is king. Intellect. You've got to be intelligent to know anything, to be anything. Going to bed is happening. See you soon. Love, Michael. Bye, Michael. So another advertisement for you guys. Another advertisement is that I'm going to start changing Sunday times. I'm sorry guys that Sundays rarely work, or the last couple of months they haven't really worked because I've been doing live talks so often. And I always try to stream the live talks, but it never happens because there's never good enough internet at the venue. You've got to have really powerful internet, and normally it's shared by lots of people, you know, it's at a public venue. So Sundays I'm going to change the talks to 5. For the next month or so I can do the Sunday, so we'll leave it as that, but I might then swap it all round so it's like Tuesday and Thursday I do the talks, although Thursday I'm often travelling as well. Wednesday is a good day for it. All the other days are very iffy as to whether I can make it, depending on whether I'm talking in other countries or not. But for now, I'm going to move them to 5 o'clock GMT. So in mainland Europe, that's obviously going to be 6 o'clock on Sunday. So this coming Sunday, it'll be at 5 p.m. and for future on, when I do Sunday talks, they'll be at 5 p.m. And other things that I'm doing. So, not doing any live talks till India now, which is, let me have to get my web page up because I forget. Events. India, Tiruvannamalai is the 3rd, 4th and 5th of March. And then there's also 2 dates in Oroville, which are the 26th and 28th of February. And that's with Paul Smith, who I do those funny cowboy videos with. And then we've got Nottingham in England, the 14th, 15th and 16th of March. And then Berlin in March, the 22nd and the 23rd. No, there's no way you're getting it streamed from India. Someone's just asked if we'll stream it from India. There is no way they'll have good enough internet there. I remember just having, I mean, it's 2 years since I last went. I had so many problems just using Skype, even in the local shops. So I really don't think that's going to happen in India. I'll try and record them and then upload them later if I can. But yeah, it'd be fun if we could stream it. That would be fun. Yeah, so that means that while I'm in India, I'm going to cancel all the streaming because I just cannot rely while I'm travelling around India on having streaming ability. But that's not for another month. Then we've got Belgium in April. That's the 18th to the 21st. So that's 4 days of talks, which could be fun. And you can live in that as well. It's not a hotel though; it's just Dan's house, and he's not charging you for accommodation, just for to food and heating and etc. You can also camp, which will give you more space. So you have to share rooms as Dan's. Bristol in April, and then in June there's a 7-day residential in Greece, Pelikon. And October we've got Finhorn, Scotland, but I'm sure there's going to be some more events coming up. I know that I've got Holland at the beginning of June, and I've got France, I think, at the beginning of May. Dara says, yay, Nottingham. I'm going to put it on my website to email it for Nottingham, to email the organiser if you're interested, because she's trying to decide whether to do a house or to book a venue. So there's lots of people, then we need to book a venue. And we can't set the price or anything like that until we decided which one we do. So if you want to go, maybe you could email her. It's all on my website. So all of that's on my website. And I shall see you on Sunday at 5 p.m. GMT time, which will be 6 p.m. mainland Europe, or most of mainland Europe. America, God knows the time. be your morning or lunchtime or something. And other countries, I don't know. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.